Greetings, humans. It's me, Bob Harris, senior editor of FootballDiehards.com. Divisional playoffs are upon us, so it's time for the weekly injury review, preview, update, overview, the thing we do every week throughout the season to try to help you set the table and understand what you need to look for as you're setting, whether it's DFS lineups or postseason tournaments that you're taking part in. We kind of want to help you set the table, get ready, get the things on your radar that need to be there. As always, things will change. If they do, you'll want to check the news and views section of the site, the column on the far right-hand side of the page. Just scroll through that, click through to the full page if you are just catching up after a week away, and we'll get you up to speed. Always check the injury report, etc. And so I'll run through these games chronologically like I always do, and make sure I know the chronological order. All right, so we'll start out with the LA at Green Bay game on Saturday afternoon. In Green Bay, it's going to be cold. Jared Goff is going to start at quarterback for the Rams. John Wolford's been ruled out. I think, last week they would have liked to play Wolford. He was hurt in that game, took a hit to the head, injured his neck, so always a bad deal there. Jared Goff will be playing, of course, with pins in his thumb and just a couple weeks off surgery. So he was serviceable last week against Seattle. My guess is he'll be serviceable again. I'd expect a heavy dose of Cam Akers, though, in this game. Also in that game for the Rams, Cooper Kupp listed as questionable, has the knee issue. Early in the week, Sean McVay downplayed it. As the week went on, it seemed to be more of a concern. They call it bursitis, so my guess is it's a playoff game. He will try to play through this. Aaron Donald with a rib injury, avoided injury designation for the Packers in that game. Everyone who was on the injury report from a skill position player, Equinemius St. Brown, Alan Lazard, Mercedes Lewis, all avoided injury designation. Kingsley Keke, the defensive end, is the only person with an injury designation. He is doubtful. For the Rams, Terrell Lewis, linebacker, is also out along with Wolford. David Edwards, offensive guard, is questionable with an ankle injury along with Kupp. So the Saturday night game will be the Buffalo Bills hosting the Baltimore Ravens. It's going to be cold. Lamar Jackson says he doesn't want to play in the snow. He might well end up doing that. We'll see. For the Ravens, a really clean injury report. DJ Fluker and Marcus Peters, both listed as questionable, knee and back respectively. Expect both of them to play. For the Buffalo Bills, Darryl Johnson, defensive end, is listed as questionable. Of greater interest to fantasy players, Stephon Diggs, Cole Beasley, limited throughout the week. Avoided injury designation, so they're both going to play. Both are good to go, and both will be heavily involved in the game plan based on what we've seen for the last month and a half. So there's that. Sunday games starts out with the Kansas City Chiefs hosting the Cleveland Browns. For the Browns, tight end Stephen Carlson and David Njoku, both listed as questionable with a hamstring injury for Njoku, groin injury for Carlson. Jack Conklin, offensive tackle, would love to get him back. Is questionable with hamstring and knee issues. Linebacker B.J. Goodson's shoulder is also questionable. Everyone is off the COVID reserve list, including Kadero Hodge, the wide receiver. Kevin Stefanski returned to the team headquarters after missing last week's game with COVID. So they are whole. All their other assistants are back in the building as well. For the Chiefs, Sammy Watkins ruled out with a calf injury. So DeMarcus Robinson, Mecole Hardman move up in the rotation alongside Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. So if you're thinking this is going to be a shootout, maybe those guys have a little value. Linebacker Willie Gay also ruled out with an ankle injury. More interesting, questionable designation for Clyde Edwards-Helaire with the ankle and hip. Remember, he hurt that in December, hasn't played since. So it's been a pretty good stretch without him playing. Le'Veon Bell has a knee issue. He practiced fully. Daryl Williams also available. Darwin Thompson, if it got down that far. Really don't know what to expect from Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Andy Reid has said basically throughout the week that he's getting better. Doesn't seem really promising to me. So that'll be one to watch heading into the game Sunday. The inactive list will be worth noting to see if Edwards-Helaire is on it or off it. Deion Yelder, reserve tight end, is also questionable with a groin injury. Moving into the Sunday, the final game of the weekend, Tampa Bay Buccaneers at New Orleans Saints. For the Buccaneers, defensive tackle Jeremiah Ledbetter is out with a calf injury. Andrew Adams, questionable, not injury related. Jordan Whitehead, the safety, knee of primary interest. Again, Ronald Jones, last week he was not a scratch, didn't have an injury designation, but a quad injury kept him from playing. He was active and didn't play a snap. So still has the finger issue. He is listed as questionable. Bruce Arians has called him a game time decision, but has already announced that Leonard Fournette will be the starter in this game. So be really hard to count on Ronald Jones in this one, although he might get some run, right? It's a tough matchup as well. Great news also for the wide receivers, Chris Godwin and with a quadriceps hip injury, Mike Evans with a knee issue. Remember the hyperextension a couple weeks ago. Both avoided injury designation, although they were limited in practice a bit this week. LaShawn McCoy has been dealing with an illness, working fully. He could well be a healthy scratch, though. That's kind of been the case in recent weeks. For the Saints, cornerback Patrick Robinson ruled out with a hamstring injury. Quarterback Taysom Hill and running back Latavius Murray, both questionable. Knee for Hill, quadriceps for Murray. They were able to work on a limited basis late in the week, so that's probably a good sign, right? Jared Cook, removed from the injury report, had a back injury. So everyone is good to go there. And so there you have it. Again, check the main page of the site, the news and views section down the right-hand side. Also check, we've got some video content for you DFS players, a Wednesday night video with Kyle Dvorak and Jason Brady. Also, Emil Cadlick and Jason will have one Friday night looking at ownership percentages and things like that. And so check everything out. We got the podcast up. I missed this week because I was doing radio. You can hear us on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. If you're watching this before Saturday night, we'll be on, Mike Dempsey and myself, Football Diehards on SiriusXM Fantasy. We'll cover all these things. Our guest will be Marcus Grant from NFL.com. Otherwise, check us out throughout the week on Fantasy Dirt with Michael Fabiano at 6 p.m. Eastern, or 8 p.m. Eastern, 8 to 10. There you have it, everybody. Good luck this weekend. We'll be back. Conference championships next week, then a week off, and then the Super Bowl. We'll see you then.